Your brain just whispered something to you. "We'll start in 5 minutes," it said. "Just one more video, then we'll get to work." 3 hours later, you're stress-eating cereal straight from the box at midnight. You've somehow become an expert on whether crows hold grudges. They do. And the important thing you were supposed to do, still untouched. The guilt, maximum level. We call this laziness. We beat ourselves up about it. We download productivity apps. We watch motivation videos. We promise ourselves that tomorrow will be different. But here's what nobody tells you. You're not lazy. Your brain isn't broken. And this isn't a character flaw. Your brain is doing exactly what evolution programmed it to do. It's a survival machine designed to conserve energy and avoid discomfort. That design kept your ancestors alive when getting eaten by predators was a daily concern. But in today's world, where your biggest threat is a looming deadline and your greatest challenge is starting that difficult conversation, this ancient wiring is sabotaging you. Every time you face something hard, a workout, a project, a difficult task, your brain runs a cost-benefit analysis. Hard thing equals effort. Effort equals energy. Energy equals survival risk. Let's find something easier. And before you consciously realize it, you're reorganizing your bookshelf at 3 a.m. because your brain convinced you this was urgent. But here's the beautiful part. The same neurological mechanisms that make your brain resist hard things can be rewired to make it crave them. Not through willpower, not through motivation, not through forcing yourself, but through understanding the exact systems that create resistance and strategically manipulating them. There's an ancient method developed over centuries by monks who mastered the art of doing impossibly hard things with impossible consistency. They understood something that neuroscience is only now confirming. Your brain doesn't need to be fought. It needs to be understood, then gently redirected. This method has 5 principles, 5 stages of transformation, 5 ways to shift from someone who struggles with hard things to someone who seeks them out. By the end of this audiobook, you'll know exactly how to stop fighting your brain's resistance and learn to flow with it. Quiet the chaos in your mind and access laser-sharp focus. Convert discomfort into fuel instead of letting it stop you. Take intentional action without the mental struggle. Accept the journey and enjoy the process, not just the destination. This is the Lotus Method, and it starts with understanding why your brain is lying to you right now. Part 1. The Resistance. Understanding why your brain fights you. Chapter 1. The Comfort Conspiracy. Let me tell you about 3 people. Not because they're special, because they're you. They're me. They're every person who's ever stared at a blank screen while their brain screams for literally any other activity. Meet Gohan, 28, marketing professional. Every morning, same battle. He sets his alarm early with good intentions. When it rings, he hits snooze. Once, twice, 5 times. Last night's determination has evaporated like morning mist, replaced by a blanket that suddenly weighs like a concrete slab. He makes it to his desk eventually, opens his laptop. The document loads, the cursor blinks, and his brain starts its daily performance. You know what would help? Coffee first. Actually, let's check email. Oh, someone posted something. Let's just see. Wait, did I respond to that message? Better check. Actually, I should probably clean my desk first. How can anyone work in this mess? For hours later, Gohan has consumed 3 coffees, reorganized his entire digital filing system, learned the complete history of the Pomodoro technique, and written exactly 0 words of the actual project. Now meet Maya, 35, former high performer. She used to crush goals, led teams, exceeded targets. Then something changed. Burnout hit like a silent wave. Now even small tasks feel insurmountable. Her brain that once craved challenge now cringes at effort. She knows what to do. She just can't make herself do it. And David, 24, creative, writer. His problem isn't starting. It's the paralysis of perfectionism. He opens the document, types a sentence, deletes it. It's not good enough. Types another, deletes it. Hours pass. The document remains blank. His brain tells him he's protecting quality. Really, he's protecting ego. If he never finishes, he never fails. 3 different people, 3 different stories. One common enemy, resistance. Inside your skull right now, there's a structure called the anterior cingulate cortex, the ACC. Think of it as your brain's effort calculator. Before you do anything, before you even consciously decide, this region evaluates the cost. How much energy will this require? What's the probability of reward? Is there an easier option available right now? This happens in milliseconds, below your awareness. And if the ACC determines that effort outweighs expected reward, it generates what neuroscientists call effort discounting. You feel resistance, friction, that overwhelming sense that literally anything else would be better than this hard thing. Here's the problem. Your ACC is terrible at predictions. It overestimates how hard things will be. It underestimates how good you'll feel after completing them. And it's catastrophically bad at valuing future rewards over present comfort. Why? Because for 99.9% of human history, this system worked perfectly. The human who conserved energy survived longer. The human who avoided unnecessary risk didn't get eaten. The human who chose easy over hard lived to pass on their genes. Your brain is the descendant of the most successful energy conservers in history. But you're not hunting gazelles. You're building careers, creating art, starting businesses, having difficult conversations, learning new skills. And for all of these modern challenges, your ancient survival wiring is completely backwards. The ACC sees your workout and treats it like a lion attack. It sees your difficult project and activates the same stress response as physical danger. It sees hard work and screams threat, avoid, find safety. So you check your phone. Because your brain has learned something crucial. Phones deliver easy dopamine. Scroll reward. Click reward. Check reward. No effort required. Guaranteed payoff. Your ACC loves this. This is the perfect deal. Maximum reward, minimum cost. And every time you make this trade, hard thing for easy distraction, you're not just avoiding work. You're training your brain. You're strengthening the neural pathway that says discomfort equals escape to phone. You're teaching your ACC that hard things don't have to be done. Chapter 2. The 3 Faces of Resistance. Gohan's resistance looks like distraction. His brain throws shiny objects in his path. Look at this. Check that. Research this. Constant redirection away from the hard thing toward anything easier. Maya's resistance looks like depletion. Her brain doesn't distract. It drains. Every task feels like moving through mud. Not because she can't do it. Because her dopamine system has been depleted by years of pushing through burnout. Her brain has learned effort equals suffering. So it removes motivation entirely as protection. David's resistance looks like perfectionism. His brain doesn't say do something else. It says this isn't good enough. It creates impossibly high standards, then uses those standards as justification for paralysis. Can't fail if you never finish. Can't be judged if you never share. 3 different faces. Same mechanism. The ACC calculating that the cost exceeds the benefit and generating resistance as protection. But here's what most people miss. The resistance isn't random. It's pattern-based. Your brain has learned which resistance tactics work on you. Gohan's brain learned that distraction works. Maya's brain learned that depletion works. David's brain learned that perfectionism works. They work because you respond to them. You give in. You avoid the hard thing. And every time you do, you reinforce the pattern. Your brain learns. This resistance strategy is effective. Let's use it more. This is why the same tactics keep working on you. Your brain isn't stupid. It's adaptive. It's finding the path of least resistance to get you to conserve energy. And it's getting better at it every time you comply. Buddhist monks recognized this thousands of years ago. They called it the monkey mind. A restless consciousness that swings from branch to branch, thought to thought, avoiding stillness like it's allergic to focus. But they also recognized something crucial. You can't control the monkey by chasing it. You can't force it to sit still. You have to understand why it's jumping in the first place. The monkey jumps because sitting still feels uncomfortable. The discomfort isn't real danger. But to the monkey, discomfort equals danger. So it jumps. Again and again and again. Infinite loop of avoidance. Your brain is the monkey. Hard tasks are stillness. Resistance is the jumping. And you've been trying to catch the monkey instead of understanding it. Chapter 3, The Awareness Principle. Gohan has been fighting himself for years. Every morning, the same battle. Every evening, the same disappointment. He's read the books, watched the videos, downloaded the apps. Nothing sticks. He's starting to believe the problem is him. Then something shifts. Not in his circumstances, in his awareness. He's sitting at his desk, about to start working, when he notices his hand reaching for his phone. He catches himself mid-reach and pauses. Wait, what just happened? I didn't decide to check my phone. My hand just moved. He puts the phone down, opens his document. 30 seconds later, his fingers are typing a URL. He catches himself again. I didn't decide to research. This is happening automatically. For the first time, Gohan is seeing the mechanism in action. He's watching his brain throw distractions at him in real time. And something about seeing it clearly makes it less powerful. This is the first principle of the Lotus Method, awareness. Not awareness as in knowing you should work, but awareness as in catching your brain mid-scam. Neuroscience shows something remarkable about this. When you name what's happening, this is avoidance, or my brain is resisting right now. You activate your prefrontal cortex. That's the logical, decision-making part of your brain. And activation of the prefrontal cortex reduces activity in the amygdala, the emotional, reactive part. In simpler terms, naming the resistance takes power away from it. Dr. Dan Siegel, a clinical professor of psychiatry at UCLA, calls this name it to tame it. When you label an emotional state or automatic behavior, you create distance from it. You move from being the emotion to observing the emotion, from being controlled to being conscious. Think about it like this. Imagine playing chess against an opponent who's cheating, but you can't see how. You lose every time, and you won't even know why. But the moment you catch them palming pieces, the game changes. They can still cheat, but now you're watching. Now you can counter it. That's awareness. It's catching your brain palming pieces. Here's what this looks like in practice. You sit down to work. You feel resistance. Instead of either forcing through it or giving in to distraction, you pause and name it. My brain is trying to avoid this right now. It's generating discomfort to push me towards something easier. Just that recognition, just seeing the mechanism, creates space. Space between the impulse and the action. Space where you can make an actual choice instead of being pulled by autopilot. The Buddha said, "Your worst enemy cannot harm you as much as your own unguarded thoughts." Unguarded. That's the key word. When thoughts arise unconsciously, when resistance hits below awareness, it controls you. But when you guard the gate, when you watch thoughts arrive, they lose their automatic power. Chapter 4, Maya's Discovery. Maya experiences awareness differently than Gohan. Her resistance isn't distraction, it's depletion. So catching her brain mid-distraction doesn't help. She needs to catch it mid-drain. She's about to start her workday. She feels the familiar heaviness. The thought of opening her laptop creates physical sensation, a sinking in her chest, a weight on her shoulders. Usually, she either forces through this or gives up entirely. This time, she pauses. What is this feeling? Where is it coming from? She sits with it, doesn't push it away, doesn't obey it, just observes. And she notices something. The feeling arrives before she's even attempted the task. Her brain is generating the sensation of exhaustion before any actual effort. It's a prediction, a forecast. This will drain you. But the draining hasn't happened yet. It's anticipated. This changes everything. The depletion she feels isn't caused by work. It's caused by her brain's expectation of work. Her ACC has learned that work equals suffering, so it generates suffering as a deterrent. Preemptive strike. But if the suffering is prediction, not reality, then she can test the prediction. She can do the thing and see if the actual experience matches the forecast. She opens her laptop, starts working. The heaviness is still there. But something else is there too, engagement. The work itself isn't draining. Her anticipation of the work was draining. The actual doing activates different neural circuits. Circuits that release dopamine for progress. Circuits that create focus. After 20 minutes, she checks in. Still depleted? Actually less. The sensation has reduced. Not because the work got easier. Because her brain's prediction was wrong. And the mismatch between prediction and reality is updating the algorithm. This is awareness for burnout. Not just catching distraction. Catching the preemptive strike, seeing that the resistance arrives before the effort, and testing whether the forecast matches reality. Over weeks, Maya practices this. Every time she feels the heaviness, she names it. This is predicted depletion, not actual depletion. Then she tests it, starts working for just 10 minutes, checks reality against prediction. Her brain starts learning. The prediction was wrong. Work doesn't always equal suffering. Sometimes work equals engagement. The algorithm updates. Slowly, but definitely. Chapter 5, David's Paralysis. David's awareness comes through a different door. His resistance is perfectionism. And perfectionism is sneaky. It masquerades as quality control, as high standards, as caring about craft. He's staring at a blank document. Again, he needs to write, but every sentence he considers feels inadequate, not good enough, not perfect, so he doesn't write it. Usually, this is where he stops. I need more time to prepare, more research, better ideas. The resistance wears the mask of professionalism, but today he catches something. A thought. What if this sucks? There it is, the real resistance. Not, I care about quality, but I'm afraid of producing something bad. He sits with this, realizes the perfectionism isn't about the work. It's about identity protection. If he never finishes, he never finds out if he's actually good. If he never shares, he never gets judged. The perfectionism is armor, defense mechanism. His ACC using impossibly high standards as justification for avoidance. This awareness breaks the spell. Not immediately, but eventually. Because once he sees the mechanism, once he recognizes that perfectionism is fear disguised as standards, he can separate the two. He starts asking a different question. Not is this perfect, but is this honest? Not will people love this, but did I do the work? Not is this good enough, but is this done? The shift is subtle, but powerful, because he's no longer asking his resistance for permission to create. He's no longer letting his ACC determine what's acceptable. He's creating first, judging later, separating the act from the outcome. His brain resists this new approach. Of course it does. The old pattern worked, kept him safe, protected ego. But now he sees the cost. All the work never done. All the ideas never expressed. All the potential never realized. Because his brain was protecting him from a danger that didn't exist. Chapter 6. The Assessment. Where do you stand? Before you can change your brain, you need to see it clearly. Not what you think is happening. What's actually happening. Most people are shocked when they do this, because the gap between perception and reality is massive. Here's your first assignment. For the next 7 days, track your resistance. Not your productivity, your resistance. Every time you sit down to do something hard and your brain redirects you to something easier, write it down. 9:47 a.m. Sat down to write report. Checked email instead. 10:23 a.m. Opened document. Decided to research better approach first. 2:15 p.m. About to start difficult task. Remembered I needed to clean desk. But also track the type. Which resistance pattern does your brain use? Distraction resistance. Brain throws shiny objects. Look here. Check this. Depletion resistance. Brain generates exhaustion before effort. Perfectionism resistance. Brain sets impossible standards as justification for not starting. Anxiety resistance. Brain catastrophizes the outcome. This will be disaster. Confusion resistance. Brain generates fog. I don't know where to start. Don't judge it. Don't try to change it yet. Just observe. Watch your brain in action like a scientist watching an experiment. After 7 days, patterns will emerge. You'll notice your brain has favorite tricks. Maybe it always pulls the just one quick check card. Maybe it prefers the I need to be more prepared first justification. Maybe it goes straight for the this isn't the right time excuse. You'll also notice timing patterns. Maybe your resistance is highest after lunch when blood sugar dips. Maybe it spikes in the afternoon when decision fatigue hits. Maybe it's strongest first thing in the morning before your prefrontal cortex is fully online. This data is gold, because once you see the patterns, you can design around them. You can't fight a pattern you don't see. You can only be controlled by it. Now, rate yourself on the awareness principle. Scale of 1 to 10. How often in the last 30 days have you caught your brain trying to redirect you from hard things to easy things? How often did you notice the resistance before it controlled you? 1 means you never catch it. You're on complete autopilot, pulled by every impulse without awareness. 10 means you see every move your brain makes, catching the resistance the moment it arises. Most people start around 3 or 4. That's normal. Your brain is very good at operating below awareness. It's had millions of years to perfect the art of unconscious avoidance. The goal isn't to immediately be at 10. The goal is to move up the scale gradually. This week, catch it 1 more time than last week. Next month, notice it 5 more times than this month. Progress compounds. Gohan starts his tracking. First day, he catches himself 3 times. That's it, he thinks. Just 3. Then he realizes he probably avoided dozens of times without noticing. Day 3, he catches himself 7 times. By day 7, he's spotting resistance constantly. Not because his brain is resisting more, because he's finally seeing what was always there. Maya tracks differently. She's not counting distraction events. She's rating her predicted depletion versus actual depletion. Every morning she writes, predicted, 8 out of 10 draining. Actual after 20 minutes, 4/10. The gap reveals how much her resistance is prediction versus reality. David tracks his perfectionism triggers. Which sentences make him delete instead of continue? Which ideas make him stop instead of explore? He finds patterns. Vulnerability triggers delete. Complexity triggers delete. Anything that might reveal inadequacy triggers delete. And here's what's remarkable. Just the act of tracking changes behavior. Studies show that people who track their habits improve those habits, even without trying to change them. The awareness itself is intervention. Why? Because your brain doesn't like being watched. It's like a kid misbehaving when they think no one is looking. The moment they know they're being observed, behavior shifts. Your brain is the same. When you watch it try to redirect you, it gets a little less confident in the attempt. This is why meditation works. Not because it stops thoughts, because it trains you to watch thoughts without being controlled by them. The same skill applies to resistance. You watch it arise. You see it clearly. And in that seeing, you create the possibility of choice. Part 2. WWEI. The Art of Non-Resistance. Chapter 7. Swimming with the River. Gohan has been watching his resistance for 2 weeks now. He sees it constantly. Every time he tries to start something hard, his brain throws obstacles. And now that he sees it, he wants to fight it harder. I'll just force through it, he tells himself. I'll use willpower. I'll be disciplined. He sits down, grits his teeth, and tries to bulldoze through the resistance. For about 40 minutes, it works. Then he crashes, exhausted, depleted, and more resistant than before. He's making the classic mistake. He's treating his brain like an enemy to defeat. But fighting your brain is like fighting quicksand. The harder you struggle, the worse it gets. This is where the second principle enters, Wu Wei. It's a Taoist concept that translates roughly to effortless action or non-forcing. Lao Tzu, the ancient Chinese philosopher who founded Taoism, wrote something that sounds completely backward. By letting it go, it all gets done. Wait, by letting it go? That sounds like giving up, like accepting mediocrity, like an excuse to quit. But Wu Wei isn't about giving up. It's about giving in. There's a difference. Imagine you're swimming in a river. The current is strong. If you fight against it, swimming upstream with all your might, you'll exhaust yourself and barely move. But if you angle yourself slightly and use the current's energy, you can cross the river with a fraction of the effort. You're not surrendering to the river. You're cooperating with it. Wu Wei. Here's what this means for hard work. Stop fighting your resistance. Start flowing with it. Your brain resists big tasks. Make the task smaller. Your brain panics at undefined work. Define the first tiny step. Your brain hates uncertain outcomes. Remove the uncertainty from the beginning. Instead of, I must finish this entire project today, you say, I'll work on this for 15 minutes. That's it. Just 15 minutes. Your brain's amygdala, that ancient alarm system, scans for threat. 15 minutes? That's safe. That's manageable. No alarm. No resistance. You start. And here's the beautiful part. Once you're in motion, staying in motion is easy. The resistance isn't distributed evenly throughout the task. It's concentrated at the beginning, at the moment of starting. Once you're past that gate, the friction drops dramatically. Neuroscience calls this action initiation asymmetry. The effort required to start a behavior is higher than the effort required to continue it. Much higher. Sometimes 10 times higher. Your brain needs massive motivation to start, but minimal motivation to continue. This is why you can scroll social media for 3 hours without thinking. Once you started, continuing was effortless. The same mechanism works for productive behavior. The hard part is starting. After that, momentum carries you. Wu Wei understands this. Don't fight the high starting friction. Reduce it. Make starting so easy that your brain doesn't register it as a threat. Chapter 8. The Gateway Task Rule. Gohan learns about Wu Wei and tries it. Instead of forcing himself to work for 4 hours, he promises himself 15 minutes. Just 15. His brain relaxes. 15 minutes? Fine. He starts. 15 minutes pass. But something interesting happens. He doesn't stop. He's already working. The document is open. The words are flowing. Stopping would actually require effort now. So he continues. 45 minutes later, he's done more quality work than he usually does in 3 hours of fighting resistance. What just happened? He wonders. He stumbled onto the gateway task principle. A gateway task is ridiculously small. So small your brain doesn't see it as work. So easy that resistance doesn't activate. But strategically chosen so that once you complete it, continuing is natural. Examples. I'll just put on my workout clothes becomes a full workout. I'll just open the document becomes an hour of writing. I'll just sit at my desk becomes a productive morning. Why does this work? Because your brain's resistance is triggered by perceived effort. If the first step seems massive, resistance is massive. If the first step seems tiny, resistance is minimal. But once you're in motion, once you've passed the gate, your brain's calculation shifts. Now continuing is easy and stopping is hard. The friction reverses. Think about Netflix. Their gateway task is genius. Just watch one episode. But once you're watching, your brain is like, well, I'm already on the couch. Show is already playing. Next episode is starting in 5 seconds. 5 hours later, you've binged an entire season. They engineered the gateway to be frictionless. You can engineer the same thing for productive behavior. Here's the framework. Identify your hard task. Find the absolute smallest first step, not 10% of task. The smallest action that moves you from not doing to doing. Make that action your only commitment. For exercise, I'll put on gym shoes. Not, I'll work out for an hour. For writing, I'll write 1 sentence. Not, I'll finish the chapter. For work, I'll open the file. Not, I'll complete the project. Your brain evaluates this micro-commitment and thinks that's nothing. That's not even work. Resistance doesn't trigger. You do the tiny thing. And once you've started, you usually continue, because continuing is now easier than stopping. This isn't trickery. This is cooperation. You're working with your brain's architecture instead of against it. You're finding the path of least resistance toward the outcome you want. Lao Tzu wrote, "Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished." A river doesn't force its way through rock. It finds the cracks, the weak points, the path of least resistance. Over time, the river carves canyons, not through force, through persistence along the path that flows. Chapter 9. Maya's Flow State. Maya learns Wu Wei from a different angle. Her resistance isn't about starting. It's about sustaining. She can start, but 15 minutes in, the depletion hits. Her brain generates that familiar heaviness. Work stops feeling engaging, starts feeling like drowning. Her old approach, force through it. Just push. Just work harder. This worked for years, until it didn't. Until burnout made forcing impossible. Wu Wei offers different medicine. Don't push. Flow around the resistance. She tries a new protocol. Works for 20 minutes. Then checks in. Still feeling engaged? Or starting to deplete? If engaged, continue. If depleting, stop. Immediately. No forcing. First day. She works in 3 20-minute bursts. Total 1 hour. Less than her old 4-hour sessions. But here's the difference. The hour was quality. Engaged. Focused. No depletion crash afterward. Her brain is learning something new. Work can stop before suffering begins. I don't have to push until breakdown. This is revolutionary for someone whose pattern was push until burnout. Over weeks, something interesting happens. The 20-minute sessions start extending naturally. 25 minutes, 30, 45. Not because she's forcing longer, because her brain is unlearning the work equals suffering association. As the fear decreases, the capacity increases. This is Wu Wei for burnout. Don't force capacity. Follow it. Honor the signals. Stop before depletion. The river flows around the rock. You flow around resistance. Eventually, the path widens naturally. Chapter 10, David's Permission. David approaches Wu Wei through the perfectionism door. His gateway isn't making the task smaller. It's making the outcome irrelevant. His new protocol. I'll write for 10 minutes. Whatever comes out doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be good. It doesn't have to be used. It just has to be written. This is radical for someone whose resistance is quality-based. He's giving himself permission to produce garbage. Permission to be bad. Permission to fail. First attempt feels wrong. Everything in him screams, but what if it's terrible? Wu Wei answers, so what? He writes, 10 minutes. Doesn't edit. Doesn't judge. Just writes. The output is mediocre. Maybe worse. But it exists. And existing is better than perfect in imagination. He does this daily for 2 weeks. 10-minute garbage sessions. No attachment to outcome. Just process. Just flow. Then something unexpected. Some of the garbage is actually good. Not all of it, but pieces. Sentences. Ideas. Things he would never have written if he was trying to write well. Things that only emerged because he wasn't trying. This is Wu Wei's gift to perfectionists. Stop trying to be perfect. Try to be prolific. Let the river flow. The water doesn't try to be pure. It just flows. Purity emerges from flow, not from force. Chapter 11. The Neuroscience of Flow States. Let's talk about what's actually happening in your brain when you stop fighting and start flowing. When you try to force yourself through resistance, you activate your brain's threat response. The amygdala lights up. Cortisol floods your system. Your sympathetic nervous system kicks in. Fight or flight. Your brain is literally treating your work like a predator attack. In this state, your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for complex thinking, creativity, and problem solving, gets suppressed. Blood flow redirects to areas needed for survival. You become reactive, impulsive, and mentally rigid. Great for running from lions. Terrible for doing quality work. Now contrast this with Wu Wei. When you make the starting point easy, when you flow with your brain's natural resistance instead of fighting it, you avoid triggering the threat response. The amygdala stays quiet. Cortisol stays low. Your parasympathetic nervous system activates. Rest and digest. In this state, your prefrontal cortex has full access to resources. Blood flow increases. Creativity opens up. Complex problem solving becomes possible. You enter what researchers call a flow state. That feeling where work stops feeling like work and starts feeling like play. Dr. Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, who spent decades researching flow, discovered something crucial. Flow happens when challenge matches skill level. Too hard, you get anxious. Too easy, you get bored. Right in the middle, you get flow. But here's what most people miss. You can't access that sweet spot if you're already in threat mode. If your brain is treating the task like danger, you never reach the zone where flow becomes possible. Wu Wei is the bridge. By reducing the friction at the start, you get yourself into motion without triggering threat. Once you're in motion, you can naturally find the challenge skill balance that enables flow. You're not fighting to get there. You're flowing toward it. Research from the Flow Research Collective shows that people in flow states are 500% more productive than baseline. 5 times. Not because they're working harder, because their brain is working optimally. All the neural resources aligned toward the task. No energy wasted fighting resistance. And flow compounds. The more time you spend in flow, the easier it becomes to access it. Your brain learns. This state feels good. Let's return to it. Neural pathways strengthen. The gateway gets wider. Gohan experiences this firsthand. After 2 weeks of using gateway tasks, he notices something remarkable. His resistance is still there, but it's quieter. His brain is learning that starting work doesn't lead to suffering. It leads to that pleasant flow state. So the resistance algorithm is updating. Work equals potential flow state. Flow state equals reward. Maybe resistance isn't necessary here. His brain is being retrained. Not through force, through pattern recognition. Every time he flows instead of forces, he's proving to his brain that the old threat assessment was wrong. Chapter 12, the practice, Wu Wei in action. Here's your Wu Wei protocol. For the next 30 days, you're going to stop forcing and start flowing. Step 1. Identify your 3 hardest tasks. The ones you resist most. The ones you've been putting off. The ones that make your brain scream, anything but that. Step 2. Design a gateway for each. What's the smallest possible first step? Not what feels reasonable. What feels almost too easy. So easy you'd be embarrassed to tell someone this is your system. Examples. Hard task. Write report, gateway. Open document and type title. Hard task. Exercise, gateway. Put on 1 shoe. Hard task. Learn new skill, gateway. Watch 3 minutes of tutorial. Step 3. Commit only to the gateway, not the full task. Just the gateway. Tell yourself, I'm only doing the gateway. After that, I can stop if I want. This last part is crucial. You have to genuinely give yourself permission to stop after the gateway. If it feels like a trick, if you're secretly planning to force yourself to continue, your brain will see through it and resistance will activate. Step 4. Do the gateway, then check in. How do I feel? Do I want to continue? If yes, continue until it stops feeling good. If no, stop. You completed your commitment. Step 5. Track the pattern. How often does the gateway lead to continuation? What percentage? What time of day works best? What gateway size is optimal? Gohan tries this with his most dreaded task, cold calling potential clients. His gateway. I'll just open the contact list. That's it. He opens it, then checks in. I'll just dial 1 number. I don't have to talk. Just dial. He dials. Person answers. Now he's in it. Call happens naturally. He makes 3 calls before stopping. Not because he forced himself. Because he was already in motion and momentum carried him. He stops after 3 because that's when it starts feeling forced. He honors that. Stops. Feels good about completing his gateway commitment. Next day, same process. Gateway. Open contact list. This time he makes 5 calls. Next day, 7. Within 2 weeks, he's making calls consistently. The resistance is still there at the beginning, but it's smaller, and his brain has learned. Gateway momentum flow reward. Maya applies Wu Wei to her energy management. Her gateway. Work for 5 minutes. Check depletion. Stop if it's increasing. First week. Her sessions average 12 minutes before depletion hits. She stops. Honors the signal. Week 3. Average is 22 minutes. Week 6. 38 minutes. Her capacity is expanding because she's not forcing. David uses Wu Wei for perfectionism. His gateway. Write for 5 minutes. Quality doesn't matter. First attempts produce garbage. He deletes nothing, judges nothing, just writes. Week 2, some good sentences emerge. Week 4, he has 3 pages of garbage that contain his best ideas in months. Because he wasn't trying to be good, just trying to be active. The key insight, Wu Wei isn't about doing less. It's about doing more by resisting less. You accomplish more because you're not wasting energy fighting yourself. All that effort you used to spend forcing, now it goes into the actual work. Lao Tzu wrote, "The sage desires no desire, prizes no prize, learns to unlearn." Desires no desire, he doesn't force want. Prizes no prize, he doesn't attach to outcomes. Learns to unlearn, he releases the programming that says force equals progress. This is Wu Wei. Unlearning the force habit. Releasing the belief that struggle equals virtue. Flowing with your nature instead of fighting it. The river doesn't fight gravity. It cooperates with it and carves canyons. Part 3. Zazen, the Power of Stillness. Chapter 13. Chaotic Mind. Gohan is making progress. He's noticing his resistance. He's flowing instead of forcing. But there's still something wrong. Even when he's working, even when he's past the gateway and in motion, his mind feels chaotic. He's writing, but thinking about emails. He's in a meeting, but planning tomorrow. He's supposed to be focused, but his consciousness is scattered across 17 different concerns, none of them present. It's like trying to work while someone constantly taps your shoulder. Did you remember to? What about? Don't forget. His mind won't stop moving, won't stop chattering, won't stop pulling him away from whatever he's actually doing. This is the problem with modern life. We've trained our brains for constant stimulus. Every notification, every scroll, every context switch. Our minds are like a lake during a windstorm. Constant disturbance. Never clear, never still. Try to think clearly in that state. Try to focus deeply. Try to do complex work. It's like trying to see your reflection in choppy water. The capability is there, but the conditions prevent it. This is where the third principle becomes essential. Zazen, sitting meditation, the practice of stillness. When Gohan first hears about meditation, he rolls his eyes. I don't have time to sit and do nothing. I have work to do. This is what everyone says. It's also completely backward. Meditation isn't doing nothing. It's training your brain to do one thing. And the ability to do one thing, to give full attention to a single task without fracturing into distraction, is the most valuable skill in the modern world. Think about it. How much time do you waste every day because your mind is scattered? How many hours spent working while actually thinking about other things? How much energy burned fighting distraction? How many mistakes made because attention was split? If you're like most people, it's hours. Multiple hours. Every single day. Meditation doesn't cost time. It purchases time by making your focused time actually focused. Chapter 14. The Science of Stillness. Let's talk about what meditation actually does to your brain, not the mystical claims. The measurable, neuroscience-backed mechanisms. When you meditate, when you sit still and focus attention on something simple like breathing, several things happen. First, default mode network quiets down. The DMN is the network of brain regions active when you're not focused on anything specific. It's responsible for mind wandering, self-referential thought, and that constant mental chatter. High DMN activity is associated with anxiety, depression, and poor focus. Meditation literally turns down the volume on this network. Studies using fMRI scans show that experienced meditators have lower baseline DMN activity. The constant mental noise is quieter. Regular meditators show decreased activity in the DMN, even when they're not meditating. The baseline shifts permanently. Second, prefrontal cortex strengthens. Meditation increases activity in your prefrontal cortex and anterior cingulate cortex, areas involved in attention control, emotion regulation, and self-awareness. These areas physically thicken with consistent practice. A 2005 study by Sarah Lazar at Harvard found that meditation literally grows your brain. 8 weeks of mindfulness practice increased gray matter density in the hippocampus, learning and memory, and decreased it in the amygdala, fear, and stress. Your brain physically changes. Third, amygdala reactivity decreases. Your brain's alarm system becomes less sensitive. Things that used to trigger strong emotional reactions produce milder responses. You become less reactive, more responsive. The gap between stimulus and response widens. Fourth, brain wave shift. Meditation increases alpha and theta brain waves, states associated with relaxation, creativity, and effortless focus. Your brain learns to access these states more readily. The door to flow states opens wider. Fifth, neurochemistry changes. Meditation increases GABA, calming neurotransmitter, serotonin, mood stabilizer, and even triggers the release of endorphins and anandamide, the bliss molecule. It lowers cortisol, stress hormone, and reduces inflammatory markers throughout the body. All of this from sitting still and breathing. That's not mysticism. That's applied neuroscience. Zen Master Dogen, who brought Zen Buddhism to Japan in the 13th century, wrote, "If you cannot find the truth right where you are, where else do you expect to find it?" The truth he's pointing to isn't somewhere else. It's in the present moment. But you can't access the present moment when your mind is constantly jumping to past and future. Meditation trains present moment awareness. It's the gym for your attention. Every time your mind wanders and you bring it back, you're doing a rep. Every time you notice distraction and return to focus, you're strengthening the neural pathway that enables sustained attention. And sustained attention is the foundation of all hard things. Can't write without sustained attention. Can't learn without it. Can't solve complex problems without it. Can't create without it. Every difficult task requires the ability to stay with one thing for extended periods. Meditation builds that ability. Chapter 15. The Complete Zazen Protocol. Here's your stillness practice. Start small. Start simple. Build gradually. This isn't a race. It's a recalibration. Week 1 to 2. Foundation, 5 minutes daily. Find a quiet space. Sit comfortably. Spine straight but not rigid. Hands resting on lap or knees. Close eyes or keep them half open. Gaze soft and unfocused on the floor ahead. Breathe naturally. Don't control it. Just observe it. Notice the sensation of air entering nostrils. Notice the chest and belly expanding. Notice the pause. Notice the exhale. Notice the pause. Repeat. Your mind will wander. Guaranteed. Within seconds. When you notice it's wandered, gently bring attention back to breath. No judgment. No frustration. Just notice and return. Do this 100 times if necessary. The wandering isn't failure. Noticing the wandering and returning is the entire practice. You're building the muscle that recognizes distraction and redirects attention. This is the most valuable skill you can develop. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Do this every day. Same time if possible. Morning works best. Your mind is quieter. Your willpower is fresh. And you set the tone for the entire day. Week 3 to 4. Deepening 10 minutes daily. Same setup, but now add counting. Inhale, exhale 1. Inhale, exhale 2. Up to 10. Then start over. This gives your mind something to hold on to. When you notice you've lost count or gone past 10, you know your mind wandered. Gently return to 1. You'll probably lose count dozens of times in 10 minutes. That's perfect. Each time you notice and return is a successful rep. You're training the attention system. Week 5 to 8. Expansion, 15 to 20 minutes daily. Drop the counting. Just breathe. Just observe. When thoughts arise, and they will, label them without engaging, thinking, planning, worrying, then return to breath. This is advanced. You're not just noticing distraction. You're learning to observe thoughts without being controlled by them. You're creating space between stimulus, thought arising, and response, getting lost in the thought. This space is power. This space is where freedom lives. When you can watch thoughts arise without automatically following them, you're no longer at their mercy. Week 9 to 12. Deepening concentration, 20 to 30 minutes daily. Now you're ready for longer sits. The practice remains the same, but duration extends. Your attention muscle is stronger. You can hold focus for longer periods. During these longer sessions, you'll encounter new layers. Physical discomfort becomes more prominent. Emotional content may arise. Memories surface. Old patterns reveal themselves. Don't engage with the content. Just notice. Physical discomfort arising. Emotional sensation present. Memory surfacing. Label and return to breath. You're training something profound. The ability to be with discomfort without reacting. This translates directly to staying with hard tasks. When work becomes uncomfortable, your trained response is no longer flee to distraction. It's notice discomfort, stay present. Common obstacles and solutions. My mind won't stop thinking. Good. That's not the problem. The mind thinks. That's its job. The practice is noticing when you've been captured by thinking and choosing to return to breath. You're not trying to stop thoughts. You're training the ability to disengage from them. I can't sit still. Start with 3 minutes. Gradually increase. Physical discomfort is part of practice. Notice it. Observe it. Unless it's pain indicating injury, let it be there. You're training tolerance for discomfort. This translates directly to staying with hard tasks. I fall asleep. Meditate earlier in day or after exercise. Keep eyes slightly open. Sit on floor instead of chair. Sleep during meditation means your body needs rest. Honor that, but also protect your practice time. I don't feel any different. Changes are subtle at first. You won't suddenly become enlightened, but after 30 days, you might notice slightly better focus during work, slightly less reactivity to stress, slightly more awareness of mental patterns. Slight edges compound over time. Thoughts are too intense/disturbing. If trauma or severe anxiety arises, work with a therapist. Meditation can bring suppressed material to surface. This isn't bad, but it may need professional support. Don't use meditation as substitute for therapy. Chapter 16. 3 Journeys into Stillness. Gohan's Experience. Gohan commits to the protocol. First week is rough. His mind is wild. Sitting still feels impossible. 5 minutes feels like 50. But he keeps showing up. Day 7, something shifts. The 5 minutes pass faster. His mind is still chaotic, but he's starting to notice the chaos instead of being the chaos. There's a subtle difference. A millimeter of space. Week 2, the practice feels less forced. It's becoming habit. His mind still wanders constantly, but he's getting better at catching it. The lag time between wandering and noticing shrinks, from minutes to seconds. By week 4, he notices something remarkable. During work, when his mind starts to wander, he catches it faster. The meditation is bleeding into daily life. The attention training is working. 3 months in, Gohan's meditation is 20 minutes daily. He no longer counts or labels. He just sits, breathes, watches. His mind is still active. Thoughts still arise, But he's no longer carried away by everyone. He can watch them float past like clouds. Some capture his attention. Most don't. And his work has changed. When he sits down now, he can actually focus. For hours. Without constant distraction. Without tab switching every 30 seconds. The choppy water of his mind is settling. Becoming clear. And in that clarity, he can finally see what he's actually capable of. Maya's experience. Maya approaches meditation skeptically. Her brain is already depleted. Sitting in silence sounds exhausting, but she tries it anyway. First sessions are difficult, not because her mind is chaotic, because emotions arise. Sadness, grief, the burnout she's been avoiding. When her mind quiets, the suppressed feelings surface. Her impulse is to stop, to avoid, but something makes her stay. She sits with the sadness, doesn't try to fix it, doesn't analyze it, just lets it be there, labels it, sadness present. Returns to breath. The sadness doesn't disappear, but something else happens. It stops being overwhelming. When she's not running from it, when she's just allowing it, the intensity decreases. The emotion is still there, but she's no longer drowning in it. This changes her relationship with discomfort. She's been treating all discomfort as danger, running from anything difficult. But in meditation, she learns discomfort can be observed, sat with, allowed. It doesn't have to control behavior. This skill transfers to work. When depletion arises, instead of immediately stopping, she pauses. Depletion present. Observes it. Sometimes it passes, and she continues working. Sometimes it's genuine, and she stops. But now she can discern. She's not just reacting to every uncomfortable sensation. David's experience. David uses meditation as a laboratory for perfectionism. Every session becomes a practice in accepting imperfection. His mind wanders. That's failure. No, just mind wandering. Return to breath. His posture slumps. That's wrong. No, just posture shifting. Gently straighten. Return to breath. He checks the timer. That's weakness. No, just curiosity. Return to breath. Every judgment he catches is training. He's learning to separate behavior from evaluation, action from identity, the doing from the being good at doing. This creates something unexpected, self-compassion. When he catches judgment arising in meditation, he practices gentleness, judging present. That's okay. Return to breath. No self-attack, no shame, just noticing and redirecting. This gentleness bleeds into his creative work. When he writes and catches the perfectionism voice, "This isn't good enough," he practices the same response. Judging present. That's okay. Keep writing. The work doesn't become perfect, but it becomes real, expressed, complete. And completeness, he discovers, is more valuable than perfection. Chapter 17. The Assessment Stillness Practice. Rate yourself on Zazen. Scale of 1 to 10. How consistent is your stillness practice? How trained is your attention? Questions to consider. How many days in the last 30 did you practice formal meditation? When your mind wanders during meditation, how quickly do you notice? Seconds, minutes. When your mind wanders during work, how quickly do you notice? Can you sustain focus on one task for 25 plus minutes without distraction? When uncomfortable emotions arise, can you observe them without immediately reacting? 1 means no practice, no attention training, constant distraction. 10 means daily practice, immediate distraction detection, sustained focus, emotional observation. Most people start at 2 or 3. That's okay. You're building from baseline. Your goal, move up 1 point per month. By month 6, you're at 8 or 9. By month 12, stillness is natural. Track your practice. Use a simple log. Date, duration, mind-wandering frequency, high/medium/low. Notable observations. Patterns will emerge. You'll see progress even when it doesn't feel like progress. The data reveals what feelings hide. Part 4. Integration, Mind-Body Unity. Chapter 18. Stillness must become action. Gohan has learned to notice his resistance. He's learned to flow instead of force. He's learned to sit in stillness and train his attention. But something is still missing. All this awareness, all this flow, all this stillness. It feels good in the moment. But then he steps back into real life. Back into demands and deadlines and difficult tasks. And suddenly, all the principles feel theoretical, separated from the actual doing. He's like someone who's learned music theory, but never touched an instrument. He has knowledge, but knowledge without application is just entertainment. This is where the fourth principle emerges, integration. The ability to take everything you've learned, awareness, flow, stillness, and merge it with action, to move from theory to practice, from understanding to embodiment. The Shaolin monks understood this deeply. They didn't just meditate for hours in stillness. They also trained their bodies with brutal intensity, not because these were separate practices, because they understood that true mastery required the unity of mind and body. Stillness without action is stagnation. Action without stillness is chaos. Integration is both. There's a famous story about a Shaolin master who was asked, "What is Zen?" He stood up, walked to the kitchen, poured tea, and drank it. That was his answer. Zen isn't something separate from action. It's full presence during action. It's bringing stillness into movement. Your challenge is the same. You've learned to recognize resistance when sitting quietly. Can you recognize it in the heat of a difficult meeting? You've learned to flow when conditions are calm. Can you flow when everything is urgent? You've learned to focus during meditation. Can you focus during chaos? Integration means the practice becomes your life. Not something you do for 20 minutes in the morning, then abandon, but a way of being that infuses every action. Chapter 19. The Practice of Intentional Action. Here's what integration looks like practically, one thing at a time, with full attention, until it's complete. Sounds simple. It's not, because everything in modern life is designed to fracture your attention. Every notification, every open tab, every just checking moment. You've been trained for scattered attention. Integration requires unlearning that training. The Shaolin approach, when practicing a punch, practice only that punch, not yesterday's punch or tomorrow's kick. Just this punch, this moment, full attention, full intention, then the next punch, then the next, each one complete, each one present. You apply the same principle to your work. When writing, write. Not writing while checking messages, while thinking about lunch, while planning later. Just writing. When in a meeting, be in the meeting. Not half present while mentally drafting emails. When working on a task, work on that task. Period. This is harder than it sounds. Your brain will scream. It will generate urgent reasons to split attention. Just check this. This will only take a second. You need to know this right now. All lies. All distraction dressed up as necessity. Here's the protocol. Step 1. Container creation. Choose one task. Before starting, close everything else. Literally. Every tab. Every app. Every potential distraction. Phone in another room. Notifications off. Door closed if possible. Create a container where only this task exists. Step 2. Time boundary. Set a specific time limit. Not until it's done. Not as long as I can manage. A specific time. 25 minutes works well. Pomodoro technique. Or 50 minutes. Aligns with ultradian rhythms. the natural 90 to 120-minute cycles of alertness your body runs on. Step 3. Single point focus. During this time, you have one job, this task. Full attention. When your mind wanders, and it will, notice it and return. Just like meditation. Every return is a rep. Every completion of focus is practice. Step 4. Break boundary. When the timer ends, stop. Even if you're in flow. Especially if you're in flow. Take a break. 5 minutes minimum. Walk around. Look at something distant. Rest your eyes. Let your mind rest. Hydrate. Step 5. Repeat or complete. After break, assess. Continue with another container? Or done for now? Honor your energy. Don't force. Flow. Chapter 20. 3 approaches to integration. Gohan's method. Gohan tries this. First attempt is rough. He sets 25 minutes for writing. Closes everything. Starts. Within 2 minutes, he's reaching for his phone. He catches himself. Returns. 3 minutes later, he's about to open a browser. Catches himself. Returns. This happens dozens of times in 25 minutes. He feels like he's failing. But he's not. He's practicing. He's doing hundreds of reps of attention control. His brain is being trained. During this time, we do one thing. That's it. After 1 week of this practice, he notices something. He's still distracted frequently, but the time between distractions is lengthening. 3 minutes becomes 5. 5 becomes 8. By week 3, he can maintain focus for the full 25 minutes. Sometimes longer. His work quality transforms. An hour of truly focused work produces more value than 3 hours of scattered work. He's working less and accomplishing more. Not because he got faster, because he stopped wasting energy fighting distraction. Maya's integration. Maya discovers her optimal container size through experimentation. 25 minutes is too short. Just as she's getting into flow, the timer ends. 50 minutes is too long. Depletion hits around 40 minutes, and the last 10 are forced. Her sweet spot, 35 minutes. This aligns with her current capacity, not her ideal capacity, her real capacity. And honoring reality produces better results than forcing ideals. She also discovers her optimal time of day. Mornings after meditation, but before email. Her energy is highest. Her focus is sharpest. Her depletion resistance is lowest. So she schedules her hardest work in this window. Protects it fiercely. Integration for her means matching practice to reality. Not forcing her brain to be different. Working with the brain she has. David's focus. David uses integration to break perfectionism's grip. His containers have a rule. No editing during creation. Writing container is pure creation. Editing container comes later. Separate time. Separate mode. This separation is crucial for someone whose perfectionism interrupts creative flow. He can't write and judge simultaneously. The judge kills the writer. So he separates them. Writer gets the morning. Judge gets the afternoon. His writing containers become play spaces. No pressure. No judgment. Just expression. Whatever comes out is fine. The judge will examine it later. But right now, only the creator is allowed. This unlocks his productivity. In 1 month of separated containers, he produces more content than the previous 6 months combined. Not because he lowered standards, because he stopped letting standards interfere with creation. Chapter 21. The Challenge Skill Balance. Integration has another dimension, matching challenge to current capability. This is the key to accessing flow states during work. If the task is too easy, you're bored. Brain disengages. No focus. If the task is too hard, you're anxious. Brain panics. No focus. Right in the middle. where the challenge slightly exceeds your current skill, you enter the flow zone, where work stops feeling like work. This challenge-skill balance is one of the core triggers for flow states identified by Csikszentmihalyi. But most people never find it. They either stay comfortable, bored, or attempt the impossible, anxious. The Shaolin approach: always practice at the edge of your comfort zone, not beyond it injury, not within its stagnation. Right at the edge, where success is possible but not guaranteed, where you're stretched but not broken. For knowledge work, this means break big projects into subtasks. Arrange them by difficulty. Each work session, choose a task that's challenging but doable with your current skill. Not the easiest option, not the impossible option, the one that makes you think, I can probably do this, but I'll have to focus. That's the sweet spot. That's where growth happens. That's where flow becomes accessible. Assessment framework. Rate each task on 2 dimensions. Challenge level 1 to 10. Current skill level 1 to 10. Flow zone equals challenge is 1 to 2 points higher than skill. Anxiety zone equals challenge is 3+ points higher than skill. Boredom zone equals challenge is lower than skill. Aim for flow zone tasks during your peak energy windows. Save anxiety zone tasks for when you're supported, team available, energy high, time sufficient. Use boredom zone tasks for low energy periods. Track your flow sessions. After each work container, note: challenge level, skill level. Did you enter flow? Yes/no. If yes, what conditions enabled it? If no, was challenge too high or too low? Over weeks, patterns emerge. You'll discover your personal flow formula, the specific conditions that enable your optimal state. Chapter 22, the assessment integration check. Rate yourself on integration. Scale of 1 to 10. How often in the last 30 days have you worked on one thing at a time with full attention? How often have you matched challenge to skill level and entered flow? 1 means you're constantly scattered, never fully present, never in flow. 10 means every work session is focused, intentional, and optimally challenging. Most people are at 3 or 4. That's okay. Integration is the hardest principle. It requires combining everything: awareness, noticing distraction; flow, not forcing focus; stillness, trained attention; and now action, applying it all in real work. Your goal: move up 1 point per month. This month, have 1 more focused session than last month. Next month, 1 more than this month. Small increments. Compounding progress. Tracking system. After each work session, rate. Focus quality 1 to 10. Challenge level 1 to 10. Energy after session 1 to 10. Flow achieved? Yes/no. Plot these over time. Patterns will emerge. If focus is low and challenge is low, you're bored. Increase task difficulty. If focus is low and challenge is high, you're anxious. Break task into smaller pieces. If focus is high and challenge is matched, you're in flow. No conditions. Repeat. Over time, you'll develop intuition about your optimal work conditions. Time of day, task difficulty, environment setup, pre-work routine. Honor that intuition. Design your work around your natural flow conditions instead of fighting them. Part 5. The Way, Patience, and Long-Term Practice. Chapter 23. The Plateau. 6 months into his practice, Gohan hits a wall. Not the wall of resistance he faced at the beginning. A different wall. The wall of impatience. He's made progress. Real progress. He notices his resistance. He flows instead of forces. He meditates daily. He works with focus. But it's not dramatic. It's not sudden. It's gradual. Incremental. Slow. And his brain doesn't like slow. His brain wants transformation now. Results today. Mastery instantly. He catches himself thinking, I've been doing this for 6 months. Why am I not there yet? Why do I still struggle sometimes? Why isn't this easy? This is the trap that catches everyone. The belief that practice should lead to a destination. That discipline should eventually become effortless. That you'll reach a point where resistance disappears forever and everything is easy. It's a fantasy. A dangerous one. Because the moment you believe in this fantasy, current reality feels like failure. I'm still struggling, therefore I'm not progressing. Therefore this doesn't work, therefore I should quit. But there is no destination. There's only the path. There's no point where resistance disappears. There's only the gradual strengthening of your ability to work with it. This is the fifth and final principle, the way. The acceptance that the practice is eternal. That growth is continuous. That the lotus blooms slowly, pushing through mud for months before you see a single petal. Chapter 24. The Lotus Metaphor. The lotus is a perfect metaphor for this principle. It grows in muddy, murky water. For a long time, nothing visible happens. The plant is growing, but underwater, invisible. Roots spreading, stem forming, all below the surface. No evidence of progress. Then one day, a stem breaks the surface. Then another. Then finally, the flower emerges. Beautiful, pure, complete. But here's what people forget. The lotus doesn't stop after blooming. It continues. New flowers emerge throughout the season. The plant keeps growing. The process continues. There is no, I have bloomed, therefore I am finished. There's only continuous blooming. You are the lotus. The mud is the difficulty you're working through. The invisible growth is the neural rewiring happening below conscious awareness. The bloom is when people start noticing your consistency, your focus, your capability. But you never stop, because the practice never ends. The way is eternal. This sounds exhausting. It's not. Here's why. The practice stops feeling like practice. It becomes who you are. You don't meditate because you should. You meditate because you're someone who meditates. You don't choose hard things because you're disciplined. You choose them because you're someone who does hard things. The identity shift is everything. Chapter 25. The Neuroscience of Patience. Let's talk about what's actually happening during that invisible growth period. Why things feel slow. Why progress isn't linear. Why patience matters neurologically. When you practice anything, meditation, focus, discipline, you're building neural pathways, literally creating new connections in your brain. This process takes time. Lots of time. Studies show it takes anywhere from 18 to 254 days for a new behavior to become automatic. The average across all studies, 66 days. That's over 2 months of consistent practice before something becomes habit. Not days, not weeks, months. But here's the crucial part. The progress isn't steady. It's punctuated equilibrium. For weeks, nothing seems to change. You're practicing but not improving. Then suddenly breakthrough. A jump in capability. Then another plateau. Then another breakthrough. This is how neuroplasticity works. Changes accumulate below detection threshold. You're building connections, but not enough for conscious awareness yet. The myelin sheath thickens around neurons. Synaptic connections strengthen. Neurotransmitter receptors multiply. All invisible. All silent. All essential. Then you reach critical mass. Enough connections exist that the new pattern becomes accessible. You suddenly get it. The behavior clicks. The skill manifests. But only because of all the invisible accumulation before. Brain scans of people learning new skills show this pattern clearly. Minimal structural change for weeks. Then rapid change over a few days. Then plateau again. But the entire time, even during plateaus, Practice is causing molecular changes. You're preparing for the next jump. Impatience kills this process. When you get frustrated during the plateau and quit, you waste all the invisible progress. You stop right before the breakthrough. All that accumulated practice evaporates. Patience allows the process to complete. You keep practicing during the plateau, trusting that changes are happening even if you can't see them. Then when the breakthrough comes, you're ready. You've put in the required accumulation. This is why the ancient wisdom emphasizes patience. Not because patience is virtuous, because patience is aligned with neurological reality. The brain changes slowly. You can't rush it. You can only show up consistently and let the process unfold. Chapter 26, Gohan's Crisis. During month 7, Gohan gets frustrated. The plateau feels endless. He stops meditating. It's not working, he tells himself. I still get distracted. What's the point? He quits for 2 weeks. When he returns, he realizes something. He's noticeably worse. His focus has degraded. His resistance has increased. The 2-week break cost him progress, not forward progress. He wasn't advancing during the break. Backward progress. He lost ground. This is the neuroplasticity principle in action. Use it or lose it. Neural pathways that don't get activated regularly begin to prune. The brain is efficient. It maintains connections that get used. It eliminates connections that don't. 2 weeks of no meditation meant 2 weeks of pruning the attention pathways he'd spent months building. He realizes the practice was working. Not dramatically, but steadily. The daily meditation was maintaining and gradually strengthening his attention. Stopping didn't freeze progress. It reversed it. This changes his relationship with the practice. He stops looking for dramatic breakthroughs. Stops expecting transformation. Just commits to showing up. Daily. Whether he feels progress or not. Whether it's convenient or not. Just show up. And paradoxically, when he stops chasing progress, progress happens faster. When he stops checking for results, results appear. Not because the mechanism changed, because his relationship with the process changed. He's no longer working for tomorrow's bloom. He's tending today's roots. Chapter 27, Maya's Long Game. Maya learns patience through a different lesson. 8 months into practice, she notices something. She's not depleted anymore. Not constantly. Not baseline. She can work full days now. Sometimes she gets tired, normal tired, not burnout tired. But the chronic depletion is gone. When did it leave? She can't pinpoint a day. It faded gradually. Like dawn. You don't see the moment night becomes day. You just notice its light. This teaches her something crucial about healing. It's not linear. It's not dramatic. It's so gradual you don't notice it happening. Until one day you look back and realize you're different. She thinks about all the times she almost quit. Month 3 when nothing seemed to be changing. Month 5 when she had a bad week and thought she was back to baseline. Month 7 when progress felt invisible. If she'd quit any of those times, she'd never have reached month 8. Never have discovered that the healing was happening all along. Just invisibly. Below conscious detection. In the roots. This reframes her understanding of all practice. Progress doesn't announce itself. It accumulates quietly. Your job isn't to see it. Your job is to trust it and keep practicing. Chapter 28, David's Acceptance. David's patience lesson comes through quantity. He's been writing daily for 9 months, following his protocol, separating creation from editing, honoring his containers. In those 9 months, he's produced 200,000 words, most of it garbage, maybe 80% garbage, but 20%, 40,000 words, is actually good. Some of it is best work ever. He realizes something. He couldn't have reached those 40,000 good words without writing the 160,000 bad words. The bad words weren't wasted. They were necessary. They were the mud the lotus grows through. His old perfectionism would have prevented all 200,000 words. He would have written maybe 5,000, all agonized over, none of them finished. Now he has 40,000 good words and multiple finished pieces. The patience wasn't just in showing up. It was in accepting that most of what he produces will be mediocre. That's not failure. That's the process. You can't get to the good stuff without going through the mediocre stuff. This acceptance transforms his practice. He stops judging individual sessions, stops rating every paragraph, just commits to the process. Trust the quantity. The quality emerges from within quantity, not from forcing every moment to be excellent. Chapter 29, the Eternal Practice. Here's the uncomfortable truth. This practice never ends. There's no graduation, no finish line, no point where you're done and can stop. You'll never reach a day when resistance doesn't exist. You'll always face the choice between hard and easy, between present and distracted, between action and avoidance. That choice doesn't disappear. You just get better at making it. You'll never reach a day when you don't need to practice. Meditation doesn't become unnecessary. Focus doesn't become automatic forever. The lotus doesn't bloom once and stay bloomed eternally. It requires constant tending, constant return to practice. This sounds exhausting to people still hoping for the destination. But to people who've accepted the way, it's liberating, because it means you're never behind. You're exactly where you are. And where you are is exactly where the practice happens. The Zen masters understood this perfectly. They never stopped being students. Even after decades of practice, even after reaching mastery, they continued daily practice. Not because they hadn't learned enough, because they understood that mastery isn't a destination. It's a continuous relationship with practice. There's a Zen saying, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. The activities don't change. You do. The way you relate to the activities transforms. The resistance dissolves. The separation between me and practice disappears. You become the practice. Gohan arrives at this understanding in month 10. He's no longer tracking progress. No longer checking if the practices are working. He just practices. Meditates because he meditates. Works with focus because that's how he works. Flows instead of forces because that's his way now. And in this acceptance, something remarkable happens. Everything gets easier. Not because the practices changed, because he stopped fighting them. Stopped seeing them as obstacles to overcome. Started seeing them as just life. The way he lives. He still has days where resistance is strong, days where focus is hard, days where everything feels like a struggle. But those days no longer mean failure. They're just days, part of the process, part of the way. He shows up anyway, does the practice anyway, not perfectly, just persistently. Chapter 30, the assessment, final integration. We've covered 5 principles, 5 stages, 5 transformations. Time to assess where you stand with each. Principle 1, awareness, 1 to 10. How often do you catch your brain trying to redirect you from hard things to easy things? How quickly do you notice resistance when it arises? Principle 2, Wu Wei, 1 to 10. How often do you flow instead of force? How consistently do you use gateway tasks instead of trying to bulldoze through resistance? Principle 3, Zazen, 1 to 10. How consistent is your stillness practice? How trained is your attention? Can you sustain focus without constant distraction? Principle 4, integration, 1 to 10. How often do you work on one thing at a time with full attention? How frequently do you enter flow states during actual work? Principle 5, the way, 1 to 10. How patient are you with the process? How accepting are you of the eternal nature of practice? Have these behaviors become identity? Add your scores. Out of 50 total. 0 to 15, beginning stage. Focus on principle 1. Build awareness first. Everything else flows from that. 16 to 25, foundation stage. Concepts understood. Now build consistent practice. Focus on daily meditation and gateway tasks. 26 to 35, development stage. Practices becoming habit. Focus on integration. Bring principles into actual work. 36 to 45, mastery stage. Practices are identity. Focus on depth. Refining. Teaching others. 46 to 50, living the way. Practice is invisible. Just how you operate. Maintain and explore nuance. Most people score 10 to 20 on first assessment. That's perfect. You're seeing reality clearly. Clear seeing is the foundation of change. Your goal isn't to score 50 next month. Your goal is to score 1 point higher. Just one. Move from 15 to 16. From 22 to 23. Small increments. Compounding over time. The lotus grows slowly, but it grows. Always. Invisibly. In the mud. Until one day bloom. Part 6. Real-world applications. Chapter 31. The Lotus Method for different contexts. The 5 principles aren't abstract philosophy. They're practical tools, and they adapt to any context where hard things need doing. Let's see how they apply to specific challenges. For procrastinators, your primary battle is awareness. You don't know when procrastination starts. It just happens. You sit down to work, and 3 hours later you're researching why some people can roll their tongue and others can't. Apply awareness. Track every redirect. Write it down. 1023. Meant to write. Check social media instead. Just tracking for 1 week changes everything. You'll catch it earlier. The lag between procrastination and awareness shrinks. Then add Wu Wei. Your gateway task should be microscopic. Not write report. Just open document. That's it. Resistance can't activate against open document. It's not threatening enough. Once document is open, momentum often carries you forward. For burnt-out high achievers, your primary battle is Wu Wei. You've been forcing for years. Your brain learned. Effort equals suffering. Now it protects you by removing motivation entirely. You don't need more discipline. You need less forcing. Apply Wu Wei radically. Work until it stops feeling good. Then stop. Immediately. No pushing through. You're retraining your brain that work doesn't have to end in depletion. Start with 10-minute containers. If engagement remains, continue. If depletion hits, stop. Honor the signal. Over weeks, capacity expands naturally. Not because you forced it. Because your brain unlearned the suffering association. Add zazen. Your nervous system is dysregulated. Meditation recalibrates it. Even 5 minutes daily lowers baseline cortisol. Increases parasympathetic activation. Teaches your body that stillness is safe, not threatening. For perfectionists, your primary battle is integration. Specifically, separating creation from judgment. Your inner critic interrupts creative flow. You can't make anything because the judge keeps intervening. Apply integration through separation. Creation containers are judge-free zones. Write without editing. Build without critiquing. Create without evaluating. The judge gets his own container later. Different time. Different mode. This separation is Wu Wei for perfectionists. You're not fighting the judge. You're flowing around him, giving him space, but not during creation. Both get their time. Neither interferes with the other. Add awareness. Catch when the judge sneaks into creation time. Label it judging present. Thank the judge for his concern. I'll consider your input later. Right now is creation time. Return to creating. For the constantly distracted, your primary battle is zazen. Your attention muscle is weak. You can't hold focus because you've never trained the ability. Start meditation immediately. 5 minutes daily. Non-negotiable. This is the foundation for everything else. Without trained attention, the other principles can't work. You can't notice resistance awareness if your attention is always captured by it. Add integration rapidly. Use Pomodoro containers. 25 minutes, one task, everything else closed. Can't make it 25 minutes at first? Start with 15, or 10, or 5. Match the container to your current capacity, not your ideal capacity. Every focused container is a rep. Every time you notice distraction and return is strength training. After 1 month of this, your attention span will double. After 3 months, it'll be unrecognizable. Chapter 32. Troubleshooting common problems. Problem. I start strong but can't maintain. This is usually wu-wei issue. You're forcing sustainability instead of flowing with capacity. Your gateway is too aggressive, or your containers are too long. Solution. Reduce everything by 50%. If you're trying 50-minute containers, do 25. If you're doing 25, do 15. If you commit to 30 days, commit to 7. Make success so easy that maintaining is natural. Then gradually increase. Problem. I can't find time to practice. This is usually awareness issue disguised as logistics. You have time. You're using it for other things. The real question. Are you aware of how you're using time? Solution. Track 1 day in detail. Every 15 minutes, write what you did. You'll find 2 to 3 hours of wasted time. You don't need new time. You need to reclaim existing time. Start with 10 minutes daily. Everyone has 10 minutes. Problem. It worked for a while, then stopped. This is usually the way issue. You thought you'd reached the destination, so you stopped practicing. The skills you built started pruning. Solution. Recommit to daily practice. Not because you're back at zero, because maintenance is eternal. The lotus blooms, but also needs continuous watering. Return to the minimum. 5-minute meditation, 1 gateway task daily. Rebuild from there. Problem. I'm doing everything, but nothing's changing. This is usually impatience. Or you're doing everything surface level instead of one thing deeply. Breadth doesn't work. Depth works. Solution. Pick one principle. Just one. Go deep for 30 days. Build that foundation solid before adding the next. Most people try all 5 at once and build none of them. Master awareness first. Everything else builds on that. Problem. Resistance is getting worse, not better. This might not be a problem. This might be progress. As you practice awareness, you're seeing resistance you never noticed before. It's not increasing. Your vision is improving. Solution. Keep tracking. Rate resistance 1 to 10 daily. Look at the 30-day average, not daily fluctuations. If the average is dropping, even slightly, you're progressing. Trust the data, not the feelings. Chapter 33. Advanced Practices. Once you've built the foundations, once all 5 principles are established, there are advanced applications. Advanced awareness, micropatterns. Beyond catching obvious resistance, you can start noticing micropatterns. The subtle body sensations that precede resistance. The thought patterns that predict avoidance. The environmental triggers that activate distraction. Keep a detailed log. Not just avoided work, but slight tension in chest, thought about email, hand moved toward phone. You're mapping the causality chain. Once you see the pattern, you can interrupt earlier in the sequence. Advanced wu-wei, pre-decision protocols. Beyond gateway tasks, you can eliminate decisions entirely. Build systems where the choice is already made. Environment pre-designed. Next action predetermined. Decision fatigue eliminated. Example: tomorrow's hard task is identified tonight. Workspace is set up. Phone is in different room. Coffee is ready. Morning alarm rings, immediate transition to workspace. Gateway task already defined. No decisions, just flow. Advanced zazen, noting practice. Beyond basic breath focus, you can practice noting. This Vipassana technique trains precise awareness. As sensations arise, you label them. Hearing, tingling, thinking, planning, judging. This develops meta-awareness, awareness of awareness itself. You start noticing thoughts before they fully form, catching resistance at its source. This is the highest level of awareness practice. Advanced integration, task batching. Beyond single-task focus, you can batch similar tasks into theme containers. All creative work in morning. All administrative work in afternoon. All meetings in specific time blocks. This reduces context-switching costs and deepens focus within each domain. Advance the way, teaching others. The highest integration of practice is teaching it. When you explain the principles to someone else, you see them more clearly yourself. Teaching reveals gaps in understanding, forces precision in language, deepens your own practice. Find someone struggling with discipline. Teach them one principle. Watch how teaching transforms your relationship with that principle. Conclusion: the practice begins. So here you are. End of the audiobook. Hours have passed since you started listening. And in that time, something has shifted. Not everything, but something. You've learned the 5 principles. You understand the framework. You know what to do. But knowing isn't the same as doing. Understanding isn't the same as becoming. And that's the gap that decides everything. The gap between who you are right now and who you could be 1 year from now. The question that determines which future you get is singular and uncomfortable. Will you? Not can you. You can. The mechanism works. The science is sound. Thousands of people have walked this path before you and transformed completely. Capability isn't the question. Will is the question. And will isn't something I can give you. I can show you the door. You have to walk through it. I can explain the path. You have to take the steps. I can provide the map. You have to make the journey. Most people won't. And I need to be brutally honest with you about this. Most people who listen to this audiobook will do nothing. They'll nod along. They'll think that makes sense. They'll maybe even feel inspired for approximately 48 hours. Then they'll return to exactly who they were before. Same patterns, same excuses, same life. They'll understand intellectually, but understanding without practice is just entertainment. Inspiration without implementation is just procrastination with better feelings. Knowledge without action is just noise that fades within a week. Within 7 days, they'll barely remember they listened to this. Within 30 days, it'll be completely gone from memory, and they'll be exactly where they are now, except older, with more regrets, with less time, with the same problems they're trying to escape. That's one path. The path of consumption without creation. The path of learning without doing. The path of understanding without becoming. But there's another path. A different future. One that starts with a different choice right now. 2 paths diverge. Let me paint you 2 pictures. 2 versions of your future. Both starting from this exact moment. The only difference is one decision. Do you implement or not? Path 1, implementation. You close this audiobook. And before you do anything else, before you check your phone, before you scroll, before you get distracted, you pause. Just for 10 seconds. You ask yourself, what's the one hard thing I've been avoiding? You know what it is immediately. Everyone knows. It's the thing your brain has been successfully redirecting you away from for weeks, maybe months. The project, the conversation, the work, the change, the thing that would actually move your life forward if you just do it. You write it down, one sentence, then you break it into the smallest possible gateway, not the full task, not even 10% of it, just the first microscopic step that moves you from not doing it to doing it. And then, this is crucial, you do that step right now, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Now, just the gateway, just the beginning. It takes 5 minutes, maybe less. And when you finish, something inside you shifts. Not dramatically, just slightly, but definitely. You prove something to yourself. I can actually do this. I'm someone who does hard things. That's day 1. Day 2, you do it again. Same gateway, or slightly expanded. The resistance is there. Your brain throws the same distractions, but you catch them faster now. You've started tracking. You're building awareness. Each day, you notice the resistance a little earlier. Week 2, you add the gateway task protocol to 3 areas of your life. The resistance doesn't disappear, but you're flowing around it now instead of smashing into it. You're doing more with less effort because you stopped fighting yourself. Week 4, you start meditation. Just 5 minutes. Your mind is wild at first. Thoughts everywhere. But you keep showing up. And slowly, the attention muscle builds. You start catching distraction during work, returning focus faster, staying present longer. 3 months in, you're unrecognizable. Not to others yet, but to yourself. You can feel the difference. You sit down to work and actually work for hours, without constant phone checking, without tab switching, without the mental chaos that used to define every day. The hard things you used to dread, still hard, but doable now. The resistance is still there, but quieter, more manageable, like a whisper instead of a scream. 6 months in, other people start noticing. What changed, they ask. You're different. They can't pinpoint what. You're just more focused, more consistent, more capable. You're producing more, creating more, achieving more. Not because you're working harder, because you're working aligned. 1 year from now, you look back and barely recognize who you were when you started this audiobook. That person who couldn't focus for 10 minutes? Gone. That person who avoided hard tasks? Transformed. That person who lived in constant distraction? Evolved. You've written the book, started the business, built the skill, had the conversations, made the changes, lost the weight, created the thing. Not because you suddenly became superhuman, because you became someone who shows up daily, persistently, imperfectly but consistently. And the beautiful part? You're not exhausted. You're not burned out. You're not forcing. You're flowing. The practice has become your identity. You don't do discipline. You are disciplined. Not perfectly, but genuinely. That's one path. That's one possible future. Starting from this moment. Path 2, non-implementation. Or you don't implement. You close this audiobook. That was interesting. You think. Good ideas. Maybe you even make some notes. I should do this. I'll start Monday. Or next month. When things calm down at work. But Monday comes and you're tired. Next month arrives and you're busy. Work never calms down. The perfect moment never materializes. Because perfect moments don't exist. They're created through imperfect action. And you're still waiting for permission that will never come. 3 months from now, you've completely forgotten most of what you heard. The 5 principles. Vague memory. The framework. Can't recall the details. The practices. Never tried them. This audiobook became entertainment. Information consumed and discarded. Like a movie you watched and barely remember. 6 months from now, you're exactly where you are today. Same struggles, same patterns, same frustrations. You're still planning to start that project. Still meaning to get in shape. Still intending to be more productive. Still hoping for discipline to magically appear. But it doesn't. It never does. Because discipline isn't found. It's built. And you're still waiting instead of building. 1 year from now, something else has been added to the mix, regret. You remember listening to this audiobook. You remember understanding it. You remember feeling like you could change. And you did nothing. That hurts worse than never knowing. Because now you can't claim ignorance. You knew what to do. You just didn't do it. And that's on you. Completely. Undeniably. Permanently. You might discover another audiobook. Another video. Another article. You'll consume that too. You'll understand it. You'll feel motivated. And you'll do nothing again. Because that's the pattern you've built. Consumption without implementation. Learning without doing. Understanding without changing. You've become an expert in theory while remaining a novice in practice. 5 years from now, the gap between who you are and who you could have been is a canyon. The dreams you had, still dreams. The potential you felt, still unrealized. The life you wanted, still waiting. Not because it became impossible, because you spent 5 years not building it. 5 years waiting for the right moment, while the right moment was every moment you chose not to act. And the tragedy is you'll never know what you could have become, because could have requires trying, and you never truly tried. You learned, you understood, you planned, but you never actually, consistently, persistently tried. So you'll never know. You'll just wonder, and wander, through a life that could have been so much more if you'd just done the one thing that mattered. Start. And keep starting. Every day. For as long as it takes. The choice between two futures. These aren't exaggerations. These are the actual divergent paths created by one choice right now. Implementation or not. Everything else is downstream from that decision. Your brain will literally be different based on what you do next. Your life will literally be different based on whether you act or just consume. The mechanism doesn't care about intentions. It doesn't care about understanding. It only responds to practice. You can understand neuroplasticity perfectly and have a brain that never changes. Or you can barely understand it and have a brain that transforms completely. The difference isn't knowledge. It's action. Always action. Only action. The path forward. Here's your roadmap. Week 1. Track your resistance. Notice every avoidance. Awareness is the first step. Week 2 to 3. Use gateway tasks. Start ridiculously small. Open document, not write report. Week 4 to 8. Meditate daily. 5 minutes. Build your attention muscle. Week 9 to 12. Apply everything. Create focus containers. 1 task, full attention, timer set. Month 4 plus. This becomes who you are. The practices never end. They become you. The lotus grows in mud. Your struggles aren't preventing growth. They're enabling it. Right now, identify one hard thing you're avoiding. Break it into the smallest gateway. Then do that step. Not tomorrow. Now. The way begins with this breath. This choice. This step. Take it.